Please note that Chainsaw Man and other media shown in this video contain a large amount of gore, violence, and horrific or scary images. Only proceed if you believe you can handle these images without a negative reaction. Tatsuki Fujimoto's Chainsaw Man absolutely rips. It's well written, it has fantastic characters, it moves at a runaway pace, the action is visceral and stylish, and nothing that I've ever seen in my years watching anime and reading manga has ever had such a hyped anime release. Big anime YouTube personalities like Giguk have entire videos dedicated to the trailers. The trailers themselves are some of the most viewed anime trailers of all time, and this isn't even a well-established IP or author. It's essentially brand new to anime audiences. It's a manga that's less than 100 chapters long, the art is a little strange, messy, and dirty sometimes, it's extremely gory and also scary, but still it's garnered this much hype from an insanely broad audience. But why this? Why is the Chainsaw Man anime adaptation something that everyone in the anime fansphere is talking about? What makes this manga in particular so adaptable? Write what you know is a piece of writing advice often attributed to Mark Twain, and it essentially means if you have experience with something, use that to inform your writing. If you know how to make pizzas in Chicago, don't write something about a Himalayan opera singer, because you don't know what that's like. Now, the veracity of this saying is always up for debate, but in our case, Tatsuki Fujimoto knows and loves movies. I know this to be true because, well, to be honest, it's kinda hard to miss if you've read anything he's published. In Fire Punch, one of his previous manga, he has a character whose motivation is to recreate a world that can produce a sequel to the Star Wars movies. A large chunk of the first half of Fire Punch is structured around another character trying to record the protagonist and use that footage to make an action movie. This same character also believes that the afterlife is a movie theater, and you really should read Fire Punch to find out if it is. It's a fantastic and wild ride. In his incredible one-shot short story, Goodbye Eri, a majority of the visuals in the manga are framed and shot like it's a movie. The pages here are reminiscent of things like the Blair Witch Project or Chronicle, using panels that look like they were taken with a handycam, that is, a handheld camera. The fact that he frames this story around the main character's love and growing appreciation for movies even reflects his own experiences. When Fujimoto was 17, his manga editor mailed him boxes of movies to watch in order to broaden his artistic views. So Fujimoto's love of cinema is pretty clear, and we can see it in his other works, but how does his love and experience with movies affect Chainsaw Man? And what does all this have to do with the anime adaptation? Fujimoto chooses characters, themes, and set pieces in Chainsaw Man that are either inspired by movies, work better in an audio and visual medium like a movie or TV show, or are more well known to be long-standing movie tropes. Sharks, bombs, the main cast wearing suits, even the trope of the main character jumping out a window of a high-rise. All of these are well-known on-screen tropes. I can't even finish this sentence about sharks in movies without thinking of Jaws. Though you see a good deal of explosions and bombs in manga, they lack the cinematic quality that the big or small screen brings to them. The sound, the sudden appearance of an explosion, the fallout, it's all very much something that rose to popularity alongside visual media like movies and TV. The main character's wearing a suit also comes from movies, even as far back as something like The Maltese Falcon or North by Northwest, but more notably in things like the Bond franchise or Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. And then we have the titular chainsaws themselves, which have been a staple in horror movies since the 70s, with 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And the movie industry hasn't let go of chainsaws as a staple of horror and action movies since. Part of what makes a chainsaw so iconic is both the sound of the revving engine and the visuals of the spinning chains. That's a thing that movies and TV excel at. Evil Dead 2, Scarface, Dexter, and many others use chainsaws as a visceral, loud, cinematic weapon, either for the protagonists or the baddies. In fact, movie makers can't really seem to agree on which it is. Is the chainsaw meant for the good guys to rip their way through hordes of the dead, or is it a loud and menacing tool used by the slashers that doesn't make a clean cut and inflicts more pain? This informs the main character of Chainsaw Man, Denji, as he is a character living in two worlds, both those of the good guys, the public safety devil hunters, and the enemy, the devils. Denji is literally a hybrid of the views on chainsaws in movies, both for the good guys to kill hordes of devils, and to be a thing which brings fear to humans, and later in the story, even the devils he hunts fear him. So, a lot of Chainsaw Man's design decisions were informed by movie tropes, but that isn't all that Fujimoto has for us by writing what he knows. Take a look at the way he positions his camera in these early chapters, which we see in the panels here. The camera is almost always at shoulder or handheld level, and he often uses crane shots, which are all actual real movie-making techniques. Almost never do we see a camera angle that wouldn't work in real life. He thinks about the way that he draws his panels as if he were holding the camera to these characters, or maybe he's watching it on screen. And that makes Chainsaw Man look like a TV show or movie already, like a live-action endeavor, due to the reality of the camera angles chosen. Which leads us to our next point. Chainsaw Man, though obvious fantasy, has a grounded realism that most action manga don't have, and in this demonic, hyper-violent series, it manifests like a B-horror movie, something like the aforementioned Evil Dead 2. You don't get many shonen manga that look like Chainsaw Man does. Most of them will have empty backgrounds with power moves, characters yelling their attacks, or a kind of squashed and stretched visual style that's much more cartoony than Chainsaw Man. And I'm not using cartoony as a negative term, simply that these other shonen action manga are more like Looney Tunes and less like The Evil Dead or American Psycho. The final thing that Fujimoto does in Chainsaw Man is he likes to make the visuals do the heavy lifting, like a movie might, since the visual aspect is the main part that both movies and manga share. This is one of my favorite examples from Chapter 5, after the introduction of Power, the Blood Fiend, who joins Denji working with the public safety devil hunters. Here we see a man in a telephone booth calling in a devil that's been found. And the next image, on the next page, is Power slamming down from above to kill the devil. This is an example of a visual gag. The funny thing here is how Power enters the frame and how the camera doesn't move. Things entering the frame in a funny way is something that every frame of paintings Tony Zhao and Taylor Ramos talked about in this video on Edgar Wright. If you're into movies, you should check it out. Tony and Taylor's YouTube channel is a huge inspiration for this one. So Chainsaw Man uses a huge number of movie and cinematic tropes in the creation of the world, the characters, and the setting. Fujimoto has drawn his panels like they were shot with a camera, or drawing a storyboard for a movie maybe, and he has created what is essentially a big-budget action horror B-movie, complete with all the over-the-top blood and gore and schlop that accompanies B-movies. So what about the anime and all the hype? Why do we all think that Chainsaw Man is going to make such a great anime? It's going to adapt well because Fujimoto has been signaling to all of us readers that virtually everything you're seeing on the page while reading Chainsaw Man is ripped from the screen. Fujimoto is writing what he knows. He's writing something made up of parts of movies and TV shows that he has seen, and most of us have seen too. All the loud chainsaws and the blood and guts and action and horror tropes come from cinematic roots, and when they get back there, they will truly shine. So why wouldn't people be hyped to see something so inspired by cinematic art returned back to its home, on screen as an anime? I know I'm hyped as hell for it. If you've read or seen any other manga that feel inspired by movies or TV shows, leave them in the comments below. And here's the plea from me. I'd love to do more of these videos more often, but that requires this to provide some sort of livelihood for me, so give this video a like and subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, and check out my Patreon in the description links below. And don't forget to check out Every Frame of Painting's YouTube channel, as it's one of the best channels about movies on the internet. Thanks once again, and don't forget to read more manga.